Good evening. Tonight, Department of State Services warns against plots to incite religious violence and attacks on religious centers across the country. Wounded soldiers vow to return to battlefield to face Boko Haram insurgents head-on until the terrorists are defeated. No respite for national identity number enrollees as they storm registration points after resumption of NIMC workers from their two-day strike. And U.S. Democrats kickstart process to remove President Donald Trump, introduces article of impeachment against him. Plus, you'll see business, sports, and later international news from our London studios. On business news tonight, Corporate Affairs Commission sets March the 31st as deadline for revalidation of company records with the Commission.
And on sports news tonight, 36 players and club staff test positive during the latest rounds of testing for COVID-19 in the English Premier League.
And from Abuja, Magistrate Court grants bail to Revolution Now protest leader Omoyele Sowore and 4 others in their trial for alleged unlawful assembly, criminal conspiracy and incitement.
And this is no time for Nigerians to let down their guard in view of the alert coming from the Department of State Services, DSS, which is warning about what it describes as plans by some elements working with external forces to incite religious violence across the country. In a statement, the DSS listed the states being targeted to include Sokoto, Kano, Kaduna, Plateau, Rivers, Oyo, Lagos, and others in the southeast. According to the secret agency, part of the plans by those plotting the attacks is to cause interreligious conflicts among Nigerians and attack some worship centers, religious leaders and other personalities, as well as vulnerable areas. The DSS pledges to collaborate with sister agencies to ensure that public order is maintained, but warns those hatching the plots to desist from such acts. It urged members of the public to report suspected breaches of peace around them to the nearest security agencies. Meanwhile, the police are reaffirming their commitment to the provision of adequate security for everyone in the country, speaking in Abuja while parading 16 suspects arrested for kidnapping, armed robbery and car snatching. The force's public relations officer, Commissioner of Police Frank Mba, says the police will not relent in its effort to maintain the internal security of Nigeria until criminals learn to be law-abiding citizens. He appeals to members of the public to report all suspicious movements and persons to the nearest security agency in order to reduce the activities of criminals in the country. And 2 days after 237 fund seekers were arrested in 2 nightclubs and arraigned by the police in Lagos, the command has also apprehended 45 persons said to be strippers and club goers at another nightclub in the Maroko area of Victoria Island in the early hours of today. Following the operations at the 2 nightclubs in Victoria Island and Surulere on Friday night, the Commissioner of Police in the state had warned the enforcement operation on COVID-19 protocols that it would continue. The police also arrested 95 other suspects during a raid on criminal hideouts in the Ketu and Ikeja areas of the city.
That's how we did on Friday night or Saturday night. Even that Saturday night was this morning too, and on yesterday night, this morning. Another club within Victoria Island still operated. Ironically, this club is joined in Main Street, within that same neighborhood. I would have to have seen everything that we did, the press we had on Sunday, we paraded them now, we charged them to call everything was. They still went ahead to still do this. That shows how determined we are now to kill ourselves, gradually. So what after them? So 45 of them were arrested there, and that turned out to be a new club. So we charged them to court accordingly, and the pronouncement of the court, the children of the court to them is that they must do COVID-19 tests. They must do COVID-19 tests. In addition to the fine of 20,000, and whoever that test positive, from police detention facility now be taken to the isolation center. While those that test positive, negative, will now pay their fine. It's after the result of COVID-19 comes out, they will pay their fine.
In the meantime, gunmen have killed a Saudi Arabia-based oil expert at his Ida residence in Kogi State, Agacheko Atanu. Sources say the assassin stormed his compound and was asked to say his last prayers before he was shot repeatedly on the chest till he died. His brother, Ukebile Atanu, explains that the assailant refused to accept the money he offered them. Meanwhile, the Kogi State Police Command say they are putting all necessary strategy in place to arrest the culprits. Some more stories now. Some Nigerian soldiers who were wounded in various encounters with the Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast have vowed to return to the battlefield and fight until the insurgents are defeated. The soldiers made the pledge when the chairman of the Senate Committee on Army, Senator Ali Ndume, visited the 7th Division Medical Services and Hospital in Maiduguri, Borno State. Besides those at the Maiduguri Hospital, 40 several injured troops were referred to the 44 Referral Hospital, Kaduna, for further treatment.
The 7th Division Medical Bed Reception has now been upgraded to a 100-bed capacity following an increase in the number of patients from the military barracks and the war front. Landmines, mortar bombs, bullets and enemy fire have left these Nigerian soldiers injured and bedridden. The wounded soldiers are from different locations across the theater of operations in Nigeria's northeast. They now bear the scars of battle.
The fire mortar bomb, so it got into my shoulder, but now they have removed the fragment. I'm getting better now. In the next 1 or 2 weeks, I will join the remaining troops in my location. I will continue.
The Senate Committee on Army is at the health facility to commiserate with the injured, and the chairman assures that the National Assembly is committed to supporting the efforts of the troops.
The Committee on Army in the National Assembly and the National Assembly in general will continue to support you, will continue to stand by you, will continue to come out to seek to say and speak what we have seen just now. People that require additional care have been evacuated, about 40 of them to 44, which is one of the best facilities in this country.
The military high command also restates commitment to the welfare of troops.
And the Chief of Army Staff has also deemed it necessary. He has in place a welfare package for them, for the families of those that lost their lives. They are being given houses to the family. So the welfare of troops in the front line is of paramount importance to the Chief of the Army Staff and, of course, the theater commander. So with this we have seen, I want to enjoin you to go and tell our story. We will not be distracted by what is going on. We will continue to be focused and do our work.
There are high expectations of military exploits in 2021 as the injured officers recover and prepare to return to the theater of operation.
And away from security, the registration for the National Identity Number resumed today across the country after striking workers of the National Identity Management Commission returned to work after their 2-day strike. But the union says it will not hesitate to down tools again if the management fails to reach any agreement with them within the next 21 days.
Enrollees at the headquarters of the National Identity Management Commission hoping to get access into the premises to register for their national identity number. Inside the premises, it's another hurdle as applicants queue to gain access into the registration center.
Nigeria needs helping hands like contracting the work to private firms or public firms so that the work should be easy. Something like a division of labor. Actually, it's better off than this very way.
Well, I'm coming here about 2 weeks ago. I come like 3 times before they can arrange themselves and give me number and date that I will come. and I think that one work. Today is the day that they gave me. Then I'm here now. I think I get my form, and the process is going on.
The process has resumed after the workers embarked on a 2-day industrial action to demand for improved welfare and working conditions. Some of the demands include a review of the promotion done in 2017 and 2020, implementation of the approved salary structure and its appropriation in the 2021 annual budget, adequate provision of work tools for civic data enrollment, and provision of personal protective equipment for those enrolling the applicants.
If you are going to employ him, that he should be the custodian of the data in the country, at least you should pay him handsomely, because he's being charged with data security. He needs to protect the data apart from capturing in it. The least thing you should do is pay him handsomely so he cannot compromise the data, because it will be a breach for national security.
There's no agreement reached yet. The only thing I know they've done so far, they've given us face masks. You see all of us wearing face masks now. They've given soap, liquid soap, as sanitizers and face shield. Even the one they said to state offices, land that they dubbed them at the zonal level. They are asking state coordinators to come on their own and pick those things up from the zonal offices nationwide.
The union is planning to commence negotiation with the management, led by the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Pantami. The union is insisting that the agreement reached at the meeting must be implemented within the next 21 days to avoid another industrial action.
Well, that's an update from the nation's capital. The situation is similar in Lagos, where enrollees also trooped out to register for the national identity number. Apart from the stress of obtaining the NIN, a visit to the NIMC office in Alause, Ikeja, shows that adherence to COVID-19 safety protocols, data integration and other challenges have continued unabated.
Tired and frustrated, potential enrollees in their numbers hanging around the gate of NIMC in Lagos, not adhering to COVID-19 safety protocols. The applicants are back in another attempt at getting their NIN registration done. Some NIMC officials come out to address the enrollees, collecting their slips and calling for calm. For some, getting the attention of the officials is difficult. Despite the booking system already in place, applicants say the process is not getting any easier.
I'm here since 7 o'clock in the morning to come and collect my printout because the one I'm using before I misplaced it. Since morning now, nobody answers. I look at the crowd everywhere. I don't know what is going on. So all the way from Ikorodu, that is when I came down. The office I registered my national ID card. It's not working. I went there, they said they have closed that. It's only Ikeja here. I will have my printed ID card. So that is why I'm here.
Some of the workers, they came out, they addressed us. They said to us they were going to, we've written our names and they are saying they are not going to work with what we wrote down. And we then replied them that, what? Some people came 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. You don't expect people to just walk in, gallivanting by 10 o'clock and you start attending to them. That is not going to work. So we've been here all day. There's no provision for us. There's no tent or anything whatsoever. We've been in the sun and nobody's attending to us.
Inside the premises, it's another round of waiting, although chairs make it a lot more comfortable. These enrollees cannot wait to have the exercise done and over with. Wearing of face masks and social distancing are scarce or non-existent among the enrollees. Already there is a clamor for the suspension of the NIN registration, largely due to COVID-19 safety concerns, but the congestion at most NIMC offices remains. NIMC workers had early embarked on a strike in protest over poor working conditions amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Many had hoped that the hiccups in getting the NIN registration would be eased with a strike, but that's not the case, as they now return to face a backlog of what they had left behind.
In part two, after the break, Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 hints at postponement of school resumption Minister of Education says January 18th date under review by government. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Department of State Services warns against plot to incite religious violence and attacks on religious centers across the country. Wounded soldiers vow to return to battlefield to face Boko Haram insurgents head-on until the terrorists are defeated. No respite for national identity number enrollees as they storm registration points after resumption of NIMC workers from their two-day strike. And US Democrats kickstart process to remove President Donald Trump introduces article of impeachment against him. Now, there are indications that the federal government may review the January 18th resumption date for schools due to the rising number of COVID-19 cases across the country. The Minister of Education, Adamu Adamu, gave the hint today at the weekly briefing of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 as the PTF moves to review the national safety protocols and curfew hours. Our correspondent Gloria Muzuke reports.
An almost 100% spike in the number of COVID-19 cases engenders the belief by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 that Nigeria is headed for grave consequences in weeks to come.
Mr. Chairman,
against this backdrop, the safety protocols and curfews is currently being reviewed, including the official resumption of schools.
When we decided on that date, it was just a target towards which we were working. And of course, we are keeping it in view and looking at what is happening in the society. And then it is supposed to be subject to constant review. Even today at the PTF meeting, we looked at the rising figures and probably we thought we should take another look at it.
We've had discussions with state governors, including a review of curfew hours, particularly with the aim of addressing and sniffing out the issue of nightlife and entertainment, which is also driving the current numbers. And once this review is completed, an announcement will follow with regards to the curfew.
So far, the PTF is grossly unsatisfied with the attitude of Nigerians towards adherence to the non-pharmaceutical interventions. Of particular note is the stretched capacity of hospital facilities.
100,000 cases are not just numbers. They are fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, children, whose deaths we will all mourn. We're rolling out the use of RDTs in 5 tertiary hospitals in Abuja from Monday next week. This will increase access to testing. We then intend to roll out across the rest of the country from February. This will make testing a lot more available to hospitals, both for healthcare workers themselves and patients coming to these hospitals.
By the same token, the Minister of Health at this briefing debunks claims that he has hinted that the NIN registration be suspended on account of a COVID-19 spread.
It is only Mr. President who can issue any order aside what subsists right now.
The PTF assures that even though the production of COVID-19 vaccines within the country might be a difficult task at the moment, Nigeria could attain sufficient vaccination by 2022. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, for those who have been wondering why Nigeria has not been able to produce a vaccine of its own to fight COVID-19, your question may have an answer now, as the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, NIPRID, is blaming its inability to develop a local cure for the virus and other ravaging diseases on funding and lack of patronage. The Director General of NIPRID, Dr. Obi Adigwe, expressed his disappointment at the lack of funding for scientific research for phytomedicine 1 year after NIPRID came up with a solution to COVID-19. He adds that the agency is still struggling to get the needed funds to finish the production of Niprimune, a phytomedicine he says will be effective for the treatment of the coronavirus.
It will shock you to learn that a few days ago, the authorities in Thailand approved Andrographis paniculata, which is the active ingredient of this product that I'm holding in my hand. Even though we were one of the first in the world to come up with the hypothesis that this could help with COVID-19, the relevant foundations, the relevant philanthropists, the relevant funding agencies have still not supported us to the level where we will finish the science to enable us to bring this product to the fore. There is nowhere we haven't gone to get funding support, but it is as if the thought leaders in Nigeria are either totally brainwashed or starstruck from things that are coming from outside Nigeria. I've been on NTA, I've been on channels, I've been on Arise, everywhere I've spoken, I've been on Silverbird, I've spoken about this product. And just a few days ago, the authorities in Thailand approved it. Yet we're here, seated in NIPRID, calling out for people to still fund us. Honestly, my heart is broken. My heart is broken.
Let's go over to our Abuja studios where Gloria Motoke is standing by with more stories. Hello, Gloria.
Thank you, Millicent. An Abuja Chief Magistrate Court has granted bail to the convener of Revolution Now Group, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, and 4 others standing trial for alleged unlawful assembly, criminal conspiracy, and incitement. Ruling on the bail application filed on behalf of the defendants, the Chief Magistrate, Mabel Shegun Bello, admitted Mr. Sowore to bail in the sum of 20 million naira and 2 sureties in like sum. The court also ordered Mr. Sowore to remain in Abuja and must physically report to the court registrar every Monday and Friday, pending the hearing and determination of the case against him.
Supporters of the convener of Revolution Now, Omoyele Sowore, converged on the Chief Magistrate Court at Wuse Zone 2 in Abuja, singing and dancing.
Revolution now! Revolution now!
With the arrival of Sowore and the other 4 defendants, the Chief Magistrate proceeded to deliver her ruling on the bail application filed on behalf of the defendants. The court granted him bail in the sum of 20 million naira and 2 sureties in like sum. The court further ordered that one of the sureties must be a civil servant not below grade level 12. The court further ordered Mr. Sowore not to travel outside Abuja or the country, in addition to physically reporting to the court registrar every Monday and Friday. As for the 4 other defendants, the court granted them bail in the sum of 1 million naira each and 1 surety in like sum. Although the prosecutor was not available for an interview, the defense lawyer reacts to the conditions.
The first application, our first application was that they should be allowed to go on self-recognizance. That means they should be allowed to go without any bail conditions. They should just said, well, these guys are patriots. You can just go back to your house and then continue your agitations as patriotic individuals or citizens of this country. So if you ask me if I'm satisfied with the bail conditions, of course I will tell you I'm not entirely satisfied with it. On a personal note, I'm not entirely satisfied with it, but of course the conditions are still meetable and we are on the verge of meeting the bail conditions. And hopefully in the next 1 to 2 hours we'll be done meeting the bail conditions. So they can go back to their home.
The first defendant, Omoyele Sowore, also reacted to the bail conditions.
I am their target, as you can see. For the second time, a judge is asking me to remain in Abuja and not travel abroad, even though I can't travel already. I've been restrained to Abuja and given a bail condition to produce a civil servant, which is unlikely to want to risk his job, and to produce somebody who has 20 million naira If you're a civil servant and you have 20 million naira, you are likely engaging in corruption.
With bail granted to all the defendants, the court adjourned the case to the 5th of February for trial. The defendants, who were arrested in the early hours of January 1st, 2021, are standing trial for alleged unlawful assembly, criminal conspiracy, and inciting public disturbance.
Meanwhile, the money laundering trial of a former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Adoke Bello, was stalled today owing to his absence in court. The counsel to the defendant, Mr. Kanu Agabi, informed Justice Iyan Ikwo of the Federal High Court, Abuja, that his client could not make it to court as he was held back in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, after testing positive for COVID-19. At the last adjourned date on December 15, 2020, the court had granted Adoke permission to travel to Dubai on health grounds, but was expected to return to the hearing fixed for today. But when the case was called, Mr. Agabi pleaded with the court for an extension of the time given to the defendant to take care of himself and be fit for trial. Justice Ikwo consequently adjourned proceedings till March 1 to 4, 2021. Adoke and Aliyu Abubakar are being prosecuted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on a 14-count amended charge bordering on money laundering. When the News at 10 returns, more stories from Abuja. Corporate Affairs Commission sets March the 31st deadline for revalidation of company records with the Commission. Join us again. Welcome back to the News at 10. Well, staying with the judiciary, the Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has also adjourned till Tuesday for continuation of hearing in the petition the Action People's Party filed against Godwin Obaseki, the People's Democratic Party, and the Independent National Electoral Commission. At the commencement of hearing, the counsel for the petitioner told the tribunal that they had streamlined their witnesses to one who would be speaking to vital documents for which a subpoena had been applied but not yet signed. The petition borders on unlawful exclusion from the election held on September 19th, 2020. The tribunal also adjourned till Tuesday the petition filed by Tracy Ebons, the candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, in the election against INEC, the PDP, and Godwin Obaseki. Tracy Ebon Agol's petition is asking the tribunal to nullify the election on the grounds that the third respondent, Obaseki, was not qualified to contest the election at the time it was contested. Away from the judiciary, the governor of Abia State, Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu, has been commenting on the election which saw Professor George Obiozor emerging as the President General of the Ohaneze Ndigbo, the umbrella body of the Igbo socio-cultural ethnic group in southeast Nigeria. Dr. Ikpeazu believes the emergence of Professor Obiozor as the leader of the Pan-Igbo organization would set the tone for the repositioning of Southeast Zone for the 2023 presidency and the overall development of the region.
So Professor Obiozor is linked to everything. It is linked to the survival of Ndigbo, in terms of trade and commerce, in terms of small and medium-scale enterprises, and in terms of our politics going forward. It is linked to our education. It is linked to the future of our children. And we want to see how we can exploit to the fullest our potential and capacities to make meaningful contributions to the unity of Nigeria. And we want to position ourselves in a place where we can be appreciated for our role in binding and bonding in this country. And that is the foremost agenda by my calculation, confronting this present leadership of NSNP, or whatever that role they want them to play at the center. If you want to get to a point where all the families, all the enclaves, all the communities in Igbo land will be speaking in one voice, that is like asking us to go and fetch the moon. Because there is no region that speaks completely 100% in one voice. Even when our Heavenly Father was creating heaven and earth, there was a discordant voice, the voice of Lucifer. So this is part of human nature. But we want to say that substantially, with the spirit I see among the governors of the Southeast, with the verve and gusto I see in this emerging leadership of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, I think that we will go places and we'll be able to push forward our agenda so that we'll be appreciated more for the role we play in the unity of this country.
That's it from Abuja. It's over to you, Millicent.
All right. Thank you, Gloria. And to Rivers State, where the Governor, Nyesom Wike, has started another phase of a week-long commissioning of projects as part of his administration's New Rivers vision. The latest road project in Emohua local government area is commissioned by the former Governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, who used the opportunity to advocate for a new political alliance to serve the needs of Nigerians. Last week, the Governor commissioned 7 roads and a jetty in 5 local government areas after commissioning several other road infrastructure in December.
The former governor of Imo State and current senator representing Imo West, Rochas Okorocha, is in Rivers State to commission the Ruma Kunde Aruse Road in Emohua local government area.
With a 5.6-kilometer drainage network,
the road, first constructed in the 1980s, is one of the projects Governor Wike says demonstrates his love for the people of Emohua for their political support.
Commander of the Order of the Niger,
Governor Wike is not only happy with his achievements, but also pleased with his tenacity to extend a hand of friendship to members of other political parties in the spirit of one Nigeria.
I promised the people of the state, I will not, because I'm not the one who awarded the contracts, and therefore I will stop those projects. I said I will not do that. Any project my predecessor has started, I must complete them, because it is public funds. It is not my predecessor's private money funds.
For Rochas Okorocha, Governor Wike has not only done well in Rivers State, but inspires the need for a new political front to salvage Nigeria.
What brought me here today is love and friendship. I'm not PDP, I am APC, but the time has come when we must break the jinx of party division and begin to embrace brotherhood and friendship. I am particularly happy and I was singularly touched.
Governor Wike continues to emphasize on his promise to complete all projects inherited from his predecessor. In addition, he also initiated and completed some projects, all in a bid to improve the living standards of the residents.
Several other places.
Let's switch to some business news now. Here's Teniola Shibowale.
Thanks a lot, Millicent. Welcome to Business News. Accredited customers with the Corporate Affairs Commission have been advised to revalidate their personal details before March the 31st. This is according to the Registrar General of the Commission, Mr. Garba Abubakar, who explains that the move has become imperative following the recent drive by the federal government to link up information with the National Identification Number.
Every accredited customer must revalidate his accreditation with the Commission before the end of March. This is necessary because we have recognized the fact that some of our customers, some have died, some have changed their details, some have changed their location without updating the database. Some have even given their accounts to other people to manage it on their behalf. So to ensure the integrity of the information we are going to be receiving from these accredited customers, all existing accounts must be revalidated before the end of March. And by 1st of April, any account not revalidated will cease to have effect until the customer comes forward to revalidate. And the process of revalidation has been simplified. Everything is done electronically. They don't have to visit our office. Once they log into the company registration portal, there's an interface for them to apply to register as Accredited customers. And the documents they need to upload includes the evidence of their qualification, either as lawyers, accountants, or chartered secretaries. The evidence of payment of their practicing fee for the immediate preceding year, as well as their means of identification.
Now, members of Africa's new free trade area must complete their tariff reduction schedules and finalize essential rules of origin by July. That's according to latest comments from a senior official with the bloc secretariat. Under the agreement establishing the AFCFTA, members must phase out 90% of tariff lines over the next 5 to 10 years. Another 7%, which is considered sensitive, will get more time, while 3% will be allowed to be placed on an exclusion list. African countries began officially trading under AFCFTA more than a week ago after months of delays caused by the global coronavirus pandemic. The AFCFTA aims to bring together 1.3 billion people in a $3.4 trillion economic bloc, which will be the largest free trade area since the establishment of the World Trade Organization. Well, let's check in on the stock market now. More than 15 billion naira is gained at the close of today's trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange as investors begin the second trading week of January with some bargain hunting interest. Well, Layo Adegoke has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. With that resounding bellow, the bull charged its way back to the equities market, starting off the second trading week of January with a 0.08% increase on the NSE's main index. Investor sentiment in today's trading session could best be described as still cautious, as with more speculators who are still awaiting policy direction from government before taking full position in the market. Now take a look at the sectoral performance chart. The slightly mixed performance says it all. However, the shares of Adova, formerly known as Forte Oil, as well as UBA and Access Bank helped to close in positive territory, and that countered the losses from 24 equities. Now, on the other hand, volume of shares traded in the start of the week was satisfactory, as 335.69 million shares changed hands in over 5,300 transactions, led by the shares of Mutual Benefits, AXA Mansard, and Lafarge. The second trading week has just begun, and with the dynamic nature of the stock market, we can only keep our fingers crossed for the next direction in Tuesday's session. That's it on the Stock Market Report. I'm Layo Adegoke.
And that's Business News Tonight. I'm Teniola Shoboale. It's back to you, Millicent.
Thanks, Teniola. Now, the U.S. Congress has halted proceedings over an impeachment article introduced by Democrats following an objection by Republican lawmaker Alex Mooney. Mooney says the House must never adopt a resolution that demands the removal of a duly elected president without any hearings, debate, or recorded votes. Democrats in the House had formally introduced a resolution to impeach President Trump for his role in last week's violence. The document accuses the president of incitement of insurrection and claims that Mr. Trump actively encouraged violence at the U.S. Capitol. The House will reconvene tomorrow to address the resolution. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. President Donald Trump is facing the prospect of a second impeachment after the House Speaker announced a resolution calling on Vice President Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment.
The President has committed an unspeakable assault on our nation and our people.
Nancy Pelosi has urged Vice President Mike Pence to remove Mr. Trump, saying he is incapable of executing the duties of his office. If Mr. Pence does not comply with the request, Pelosi has vowed to press ahead quickly with a second impeachment. Mr. Trump is accused of inciting an insurrection after riots last week at the Capitol left 5 people dead, including 1 policeman, and injuring dozens. Meanwhile, Amazon has shut down the app Parler, which is popular with fans of Donald Trump, by removing it from its web hosting. The social media platform that has been used by millions of Mr. Trump supporters has been forced offline until it can find a new web hosting service. The move comes after Apple and Google also removed Parler for violating rules by failing to censor posts that incite violence and crime. Parler has become the go-to app for supporters of the president and right-wing conservatives following a clampdown on the spread of election misinformation by Twitter and Facebook. Indonesian Navy divers have been searching the Java Sea for the remains of an airjet that plunged into the sea 2 days ago. Authorities have pinpointed the area where the data recorders, known as black boxes, of the Boeing 737 are located. Rescuers have so far lifted parts of the jet's fuselage and engine off the seabed and have also found human body parts and their personal effects. The flight with 62 people on board was headed from Jakarta to Pontianak on Borneo Island and disappeared from radar screens 4 minutes after takeoff after crashing into the sea. Elderly people and healthcare workers have begun getting vaccinated against COVID-19 at the 7 new mass vaccination sites across England. The UK so far has vaccinated around 2 million people, and Health Secretary Matt Hancock has said that 200,000 people are now getting the inoculation every day, and that the government is on track to meet its target of 13 million people vaccinated by mid-February. The unprecedented vaccination effort by the country has elderly people of over 80 years old as its top priority. So far, the NHS has said that 23% of England's population for that age group have received the first dose of the vaccine. Ugandans are set to vote on Thursday in the presidential elections, which will see long-time leader Yoweri Museveni face against 10 other candidates. Museveni has won every election since 1996 and has twice changed the constitution to allow him to run, first removing a 2-term limit in 2005 and then abolishing the age limit of 75 in 2017. Among his opponents, there is 38-year-old singer Bobby Wine, who has emerged as the front-runner by attracting a large following among younger people in the East African country. Military personnel have been deployed across the capital, Kampala, amid fears the elections could descend into violence. Since the start of the campaign, security forces have repeatedly broken up Mr. Wine's rallies with tear gas, rubber bullets, beatings and detentions. Wine has also been arrested multiple times and now campaigns in a helmet and flak jacket. The billionaire French-Israeli diamond magnate Benny Steinmetz has arrived in court in Switzerland to face trial over alleged corruption linked to a major mining deal in Guinea. He has always denied that his company, BSGR, paid multi-million-dollar bribes to obtain iron ore mining exploration permits in southern Guinea in 2008. He travelled to Geneva from Israel for the 2-week trial. If convicted, he could face up to 10 years in prison. The United States plans to designate Yemen's Houthi movement as a foreign terrorist organization. The Trump administration is considering blacklisting the Iran-aligned group before the inauguration of Joe Biden on January the 20th, a move that would complicate the delivery of essential aid in large parts of the country, which is in danger of extreme famine. The United States has accused the Houthi rebels of being proxy fighters for Iran, seeking to destabilize neighboring Saudi Arabia. And finally, a historic heavy snowfall has hit the northern regions of Japan, causing chaos across the country. Most of the cities in these northern prefectures have seen more than twice the amount of snowfall compared to its average. The city of Tokoyama has also seen a new record of 88 centimeters of snow falling within 48 hours. The snowfall has been so intense that more than 1,000 vehicles have been stranded on the motorway for hours, prompting Japan's Ministry of Defense to deploy forces to clear the snow and help drivers get moving. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Hello and welcome to Sports News. The Nigeria Women's Football League has postponed Week 5 matches in the top flight owing to the inability of all the 14 clubs to meet with the directives on COVID-19 tests for players and team officials. The postponement, according to the NWFL, is in order to accommodate collation and validation of the COVID-19 tests being conducted by the Premiership clubs. The chairperson of the NWFL, Aisha Falode, says the league body does not want to take risks with any of the clubs going by the fresh wave of infections. She says any club found wanting at the end of the exercise will be suspended from the league indefinitely. All postponed Week 5 matches will now be played on January the 20th. The English Premier League has revealed that 36 players and club staff have tested positive during the latest round of testing for COVID-19. The league conducted 2,593 tests across 2 rounds over the past week. Between January 4th and 7th, there were 27 new positive tests and 9 more were found during testing between January 8th to the 10th. The number is a slight increase on the 40 positive tests following last week's rounds of testing. And Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer insists Edinson Cavani is fit and ready to go after serving his 3-match ban following his misconduct charge by the English FA over a social media post last month. Solskjaer is pleased to welcome back the veteran striker, who's impressed during his short time with the club. Cavani is now free to return for the trip to Burnley, where just a point will see Manchester United go top of the Premier League. That's it on Sports News. Millicent, back to you.
Thank you, Lumide. And the main news again. The Department of State Services today warned against any plot to incite religious violence and attacks on religious centers in the country. The DSS listed Sokoto, Kano, Kaduna Plateau, Rivers, Oyo, Lagos and others in the southeast as places of interest. Also today, the National Identity Number enrollees resumed the quest for their registration as they stormed NIMSI offices after officials of the Commission returned from their 2-day strike. Plus, the U.S. Democrats today kick-started the process to remove President Donald Trump and introduced an article of impeachment against him. They accused him of encouraging violence at the U.S. Capitol. That's news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Pungoka. Have a good night.